My name is Emmanuel Marinado. I'm the co-chair of the Dutchess County Tea Party. We're a local group. We usually have our monthly meetings in Oakland Junction, New York. And our group on Facebook, when we usually get together, it's over 300 to 350 people. We're a very interactive group, and we follow our candidates. And today, even though this is not really our district where we are conducting this meeting, we usually follow our candidates around. Last time that this seat was available with John Faso, we held the same type of forum where we invited the candidates and we kind of vetted. It's a very important step in our political system. We are a group of people that once we vet a candidate and we like what their approach is to the political system, we follow them and we help them get elected. At this point in time, we are just doing the vetting. We have not yet determined who our endorsed candidate is. So we do have two candidates that are primary for the seat in the Republican Party. And one gentleman is Kyle by the water. And then we also have Ola. Unfortunately, Ola has been invited, but because she has other commitments, she could not attend. So we want to make that clear that we had invited her. And for campaign purposes, she will not be here. So today we're going to introduce Mr. Vanderbilt. And sir, thank you for being present with us.
Thank you, Manny.
Say a few words about yourself and what the purpose of you running for this important seat.
Bottom line is, I have 4 kids. 3 are triplets. They're 11 years old, and I have a 5-year-old to boot. And the reason why I'm running is because I refuse to allow my children to grow up in a socialistic Democrat country. And that's where this state is gone, and that's where the country is trying to go, and I'm here to stop that. I have grown up in Dutchess County. I spent my summers fishing in Wappingers Creek. I spent my winters skiing in Hunter Mountain. I spent my falls hunting in Stissing Mountain and all the way over on the other side of Mohonk. I am a New York 19 guy, and I have been my whole life. And I am here. I don't want to sit there and give my speech because you know what? I've done it before. Everybody knows who I am. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, and I can stay here for 3, 4, 5 hours. I don't care. And I just want you to understand that I'm here to win, and I'm the guy that's going to kick out Antonio Delgado out of New York 19. That's it, bottom line. And I cannot wait for the day when we're not sitting at a table like this, but I'm at a podium, he's at a podium, we're doing our distancing, and I debate that man. We'll have fun. So I'm here, subject to your questions, and I am here for the people of New York 19. And the other thing I want to say before I go any further is I understand the pain and suffering that people in New York 19 are going through right now. People have lost their jobs, and they're not sure if they're going to come back. People are sitting there thinking about how am I going to pay for the groceries. I'm with you, and I'm here to jumpstart the economy. I did a radio interview earlier this week, and the good thing that I'm happy about is finally I'm allowed to actually come out and talk to people. I couldn't do that for almost 2 months, but that's where I think I stand strong, is being able to talk to you, being able to talk to the people, answering questions. I don't care how hard they are, it's okay. I'm here, this is a democracy, it's a republic. I'm a Republican, I'm here to answer all your questions. That's it. So now I'm back. I did a radio interview for an hour earlier this week, which spans across Schoharie, Otsego, Delaware, Columbia, Ulster, and it was great to answer questions and be able to talk to my community. New York 19 is my community, and I understand the hardships that you're going through. I'm here to help you get back on your feet. I'm here to do what's best for the people of New York 19. And I can talk from people on the far right, and I can talk to people on the left. I'm just not in line with people on the far left. I'm a blue collar guy, even though I'm a lawyer. I don't come from money. It is what it is. But I made myself a lawyer. I made myself who I am. And I've worked hard my entire life, and I will continue to work hard for you. So.
Questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Straight ahead.
Oh, well, first off, thank you for your service to the country. So you get into Congress, what's the first bill you were putting on hopper? And why, would that be your first bill?
Well, I'll tell you right now, the first thing that we need to do is we gotta open up the economy, okay? It's difficult to say, what am I gonna do in 2021 with what's going on right now? The whole world is being burned down, okay? What I would say to you right now is if I was congressman today, I would be pushing all the states to open up. It's time to open up. We gotta get people back to work. I understand we're in the middle of a pandemic, I get that. But you know what's gonna end up happening? Right now, I said on Tuesday during this radio show that we're gonna bounce back because we're America. We gotta open up. There's 2.5 million jobs in May that came out on Thursday, I think. And there's a reason for that. There's 27 states that are red, Republican and conservative leaders. They opened up. You got to bounce back of all the jobs because they opened up. And they started hiring people again. We got to get people back to work, period. I get it. This is scary times. I mean, unprecedented times. But we got to open up. Now, if you look at the statistics, you look at New York City. Same study came out, same statistics, and said that New York City went down in jobs. Why? Because they're locked down. Enough is enough. It's time to open up. I look out here today, and it was a beautiful thing driving here today. You wanna know why? Because I look at all these restaurants, and everybody put the seating on the outside, and guess what? They're filled. I'm so happy to have a drive down Route 9 and then come up 52 to 82 to come here. And I'm gonna come the other way around and go back home. And what do I see? I see restaurants open up and everybody's out. So everybody's spending money and people are being employed because now they can make money. Okay? We're America. We can come back from this. So to answer your question, I tell you right now, the whole thing should be focused on moving the economy along. We gotta get the economy number one. I can talk about all the other issues that I think are important right now, but economy is number one. Making people feel good about themselves, giving them jobs, getting them back into the workplace, that's the most important thing, hands down. That's what we need to do right now.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Quick question. You said before that you're all for jump-starting the economy.
Yes, sir.
How are we going to do that?
What has to happen is these socialist Democrat municipalities like New York City, New York State, open up. There's no reason why Dutchess County shouldn't be fully open right now. We met all 7. Marcus Molinaro, who by the way endorsed me, and that's going to be on my website today. So I've been endorsed by Butch Anderson, Kieran Waller, Marcus Molinaro. Marcus pushed to get the county open and get us out of this web that we're in with Westchester and everything else. And that should have happened. We should be fully open right now. So to jumpstart the economy, you gotta open it up. But right now we're living in a really unique time where you have Governor Cuomo dictating to us what we can and cannot do. And I'm going to talk to you about something else which really bothers me. I have a daughter who has special needs, and she needs special care, and she needs a special teacher for that. She can only do it via Zoom. Why? Why? you're gonna allow people to go out and eat outside restaurants and stay 6 feet away from each other, but you can't allow a teacher to come teach my daughter? It's ridiculous. The rules are insane. It's over, we're done, let's get back to work and let's get it done.
Ancillary question to that. So
Yes,
you're not talking about injecting any money, you're just talking about opening everything up.
Open it up. Open
Point still
it up,
taken.
100%. Yes, sir.
Got a two-part question, and I'll be honest with you. I thank you for your service. Love that you're Army, but I don't ask softball questions ever. So
Good.
here we go.
Give me a hard give me a curveball, give me a slider, give me whatever.
So
you
this
got.
is going to go along with getting people back to work, but this is more along the lines of people of color and lower income people. You got a lot of them right now that are on the dole of the government. They're making more than they made when they were working. How do you change the mentality for people? How do you get to people? And I'm going to be honest, people of color. I get fed up with hearing people of color saying, "You owe us this, you owe us that." You know, I grew up the same way, so and I'm not in that predicament. It's a
Right.
choice to make. So how do you change the mentality? How do you start to come in and start reaching out to those communities and showing them that, you know, you can make it? Stop saying that everybody owes you everything, because they don't. I just don't believe it. So well, I don't know what your belief system is on that.
Sure.
So I'd like to know that, but then how do you reach out to those groups of people?
Well, first and foremost, I'm gonna sit there and tell you, I'm a smart enough guy to know that I don't know what it's like to be a person of color, because I am not. And I can never sit there and speak really intelligently about it, because I can't walk a mile in your shoes. But I will sit there and say this. This is America. And what happened to Mr. Floyd, by the way, was pure evil. And that's a fact. I'm just going to tell you, when I first saw that video and I looked into that man's eyes when he had his knee on his neck, I didn't see anything other than the devil. Evil is here. Now, that doesn't mean that that's an excuse to loot and break down store windows and everything else. That means that people are frustrated and they should have the ability to peacefully protest. 100%. The best way, and I don't know, again, I'm just telling you what I think, is to get everybody jobs and the ability to work. Racism exists in this country. It's a fact. It has, and I think things have gotten better. And I think Mr. Floyd's murderer, he set forth something that was completely unprecedented, and I understand the anger, okay? Again, I cannot walk a mile in your shoes because I'm not a person of color. But my heart goes out to people who feel that they're discriminated against, because I know it exists. But I think the best thing that has happened since 2016 is that black unemployment has been the lowest than it's ever been in the history of the country. And I think that's a positive thing. So the only answer I can give you is that we need to ensure that people like the murderer of Mr. Floyd are prosecuted. I'm glad that they raised it from manslaughter up to second-degree murder, because I'm looking at it as an attorney and I go, I'm seeing a lot of intent just watching the video. So the fact that they raised it to second-degree murder is good. Now his consequences and his time in imprisonment are higher. But at the end of the day, we gotta get the economy started, and we have to have strict rules for ensuring that people that abuse their power, whether it's law enforcement, military, whatever, that they're held accountable for.
I have a question from the viewing audience.
Yes, sir.
Kyle, are you going to make sure you read all bills before voting on them? Also, keep us informed as well as truly know the pulse of what District 19 wants.
No question. I'm an attorney, but we do a lot of reading. So I'm gonna read everything, and I promise you, I'm only gonna do what is good for New York 19. I promise. That's it. I'm gonna look at what our district look like, what it looks like, where we're at, what the economy looks like, what the unemployment looks like, what are the issues that we have to deal with. We gotta deal with opioid issues. We have to deal with a whole lot of issues. I will do whatever is best for New York 19. I'm not gonna be some establishment guy, I'm just not. I'm gonna say this, and it may piss people off, but I don't care. It's just who I am, because I'm an honest guy. I am a Trump supporter, okay? I love 95% of what he does. I may not agree with every single thing that he says, but I support him 100%.
One more fast one. Will Kyle take a full no mandatory vax position?
I agree that it's the parents' choice as to whether or not their children should be vaccinated or not. I don't think it's the government's choice.
So you're for complete
I'm for it's the
family
parents' choice.
decisions?
Yeah.
Nothing beyond that?
No, and I'm going to tell you something right now. Don't think that I don't know. You're talking to someone who has 2 kids, not one, who have special needs. And I have one that's on the spectrum. So you want to lay all the cards out? I don't just have a daughter who has special needs, who has medical obstacles and surgeries that she has to go over. I got another one, and he's on the spectrum. And I have my own thoughts and opinions on how that may happen, but I'm going to tell you something. When I grew up, I don't remember so many boys having so many problems. So I think it's a parent's choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for being here, by the way. So,
This is fun for me. I like this.
my first question
I'm so happy to
is,
be back out. I'm sick and tired of being.
and I want you to think about it, and I'm gonna go right into my second question. Where are you on the spending bills? We've had about 4 stimulus bills out there that are making its way through the economy.
Right.
Yeah. So you have the president who's pushing for a payroll tax cut. You have Mitch McConnell who is pushing for liability safeguards for the businesses.
Yeah.
So they don't get sued if they bring back COVID. You know.
Yeah.
And you have Nancy Pelosi, who's looking to spend $2 or $3 trillion
Yep.
on who knows what. Now, if you listen to Larry Kudlow, he says just what I just talked about. The first 4 stimulus money seem to be making its way through the economy.
Yeah.
Before they start thinking about another bill, they want to see where we stand.
Sure.
Tell me your thoughts about. Are you okay with?
No, I'm not.
You know.
I'm okay with what they tried to do because I think that it was important. Everybody panicked. And let me just tell you something. This is just the way my parents and my grandparents raised me. Fear is the worst emotion. It's worse than hate. And everybody acted on fear because of what was happening in March through April. So decisions were made, and we bumped up the debt through the roof. And who owns that debt? China. I'm not okay with that. So I don't think that we need to continue to pump money and bring us further into debt. We need to reduce our debt. We need to get away from China. We need to start bringing jobs back to America. And I am not okay with continuing to do these $1 trillion stimulus packages. You know what's going to stimulate the United States of America? Open it up. Enough is enough. Mother Nature is coming in right now. I look outside. It's beautiful. It's humid. You know what's going to end up happening? She does what she does. She's going to tamp down the flu, and she's going to tamp down this flu. I'm not saying we still can't be, we have to be safe, but open it up. We're America. We can do anything. And I do not believe in running the debt. I can remember when President Barack Obama was president, and see, I do this for all fairness, this is the truth. Everyone tried to beat him up because he was getting close to $18 trillion. And they said, well, we're going to crash and this and that. Well, now we're at 23. So let's be honest with each other. if you're a true Republican or you're a true conservative, then you don't agree with the spending that we have going on. And I understand that people are in need right now because the jobless rates are through the roof. Just open it up. It's time to get back to work. Let's get everybody back to work. We were in a great economy. It was roaring. We can't let some Wuhan virus take us down. Open it up. And Mr. Cuomo, and this is all the rioting and everything else, it's all, if you think that all the rioting is strictly because of what happened to Mr. Floyd and the racism that exists in this country, you're wrong. There are peaceful protesters out there. They have every right to do that, but there are other people that are bad actors. Antifa. I saw you up in Poughkeepsie. Don't think I didn't see you. I know what you're about, and they're trying to create anarchy. And people are frustrated. So you keep people on lockdown. Just open it up. Enough is enough.
Can you address, was a concern, because you're an active military.
I'm in the reserves.
Because you're in the reserves.
Yeah. I'm not active.
You may not be able to run for Congress. I mean, can you address that?
Yeah, let's address this right now. And my opponent, and by the way, I've been getting hit from my opponent as well as Mr. Delgado. There's reasons for that. So bring it, by the way. I'm okay with it. You're talking about the Hatch Act. I do not violate the Hatch Act. Lindsey Graham was in the United States Air Force Reserves during the majority of his career as a senator. I do not violate the Hatch Act. If I worked as a federal employee and was a reservist, then I couldn't do what I'm doing. I am a private citizen. I serve in the United States Army Reserves, and it's kind of funny to me that my opponents have the stones to come after my military service. When you've never served in your entire life, you don't know what it's like to put on the boots, you don't know what it's like to put on the uniform, and yet somehow you're going to use that against me? Give me more. I'm okay with it.
Next question.
And
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here, and of course, thank you for your
Thank you for
service.
having me.
I guess my biggest concern is the narrative.
Okay?
I think that the liberals and the Democrats control the narrative with fear, and that the conservatives and the Republicans always respond defensively. I think most of us agree that the greatest, one of the greatest things about this country is that it offers opportunity to everybody. And it seems like both sides of the aisle are constantly looking to tend to the needs of the population instead of, as this gentleman said before, raising the narrative and showing them where their opportunity lies. The owner, president, Bob Johnson of Black Entertainment Television, he's a billionaire. He's the first black billionaire, and he's calling for reparations. Why are you calling for reparations for people of color when what set you apart and gave you, the opportunity to live as a billionaire was opportunity? Why are you not pointing them to their opportunity to achieve greatness as he has? And I think that, again, the narrative is set with things like, Common Core. Everybody deserves the same education. We can't guarantee outcomes for people. We can only show them where the opportunity is for them to achieve what they can. And we certainly can, give people a helping hand, but again, those things happen locally, and we've lost so much local control and voice in our local government. The school boards are absolutely, they're absolutely lame and neutered. There's nothing that they can do. If you go to a school board meeting, they say, talk to Albany. Okay, then shut the lights off and stop wasting electricity pretending that you're doing something here. And that's true for a lot of things. We heard about vaccines. So basically, we talk about these issues, but we never really address who's controlling them and the fact that we're losing our local voice, and it's getting more tightly controlled at the top. And rather than talk about the necessity for liberty and opportunity and people to be able to pursue, their own greatness, we tend to respond to the, needs to deliver something to the people that, just isn't what we're supposed to be about.
Yeah, I understand your frustration. All right? Let's just talk about the first thing. The first thing is this, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not a person of color, neither are you. So it's very difficult for us to understand where they're coming from versus where you may be coming from.
Can I just
hang on 1 second. Let me just finish up. What I'm saying is this. You need leadership. And what you've had in the past is Republicans that are part of the establishment. They've been taken away from their values and brought towards what you would call the middle or the left. You have AOC, which I said on the radio show. You know what she is? She's a gift. She's a gift. They ask me, what do you think about AOC? And I go, she's a gift. What do you mean? She's a gift. Why? Because she took the leadership of the Democratic Party and brought them all the way over to this crazy socialistic democratic mentality. So what did you lose, AOC? What did you lose, Nancy Pelosi? What did you lose, Joe Biden? Here's what you lost. You lost logical Democrats. And for numerous reasons, I understand that people of the African American community went from Republican, because they used to be Republican. If you remember, Martin Luther King was a Republican. They went from Republican to Democrat for certain reasons. But what have they served? I mean, think about it. So you've got these, you used to have blue dog Democrats who could sit there and hold out an olive branch to us, right? Republicans, conservatives. And blue dog Democrat would say, look, I want ABC, you want XYZ. And we would say, look, let's work together. I get Z, you get C. Forget the rest, but at least we did something. Can't even do that nowadays. So what we need is leadership. We've got to get establishment Republicans out. You've got to get new Republicans in like me. So back in the day it was, oh, these are Reagan Republicans. Well, those guys, they left the party. I'm a Trump Republican. So get the new generation in. And no disrespect to my mother's generation of the baby boomers, but it's time to hand a baton off. I'm an X-generation guy, not a millennial. I'm squeezed in between millennials and baby boomers. And I'm here to just do what's known as common sense. Let's get the job done. And at the end of the day, I'm tired of the hatred. I can talk to Democrats. You want to know why? Because my collar isn't white. Even though I'm a lawyer, I just rose myself up. My mother worked in a parochial school for over 40 years. My father worked in a rock quarry. Before I went to college, my father said, guess what? You're going to understand what real work is. He put me in the rock quarry down at Trap Rock. I can talk to people that are hardworking men and women that are right there in the middle and that are on the left. And we can all come together because it's time to stop the division and it's time to get the job done. And what's the job? The job is to love your family first, God, if you believe in it, or whatever you believe in the United States of America. So let's just do whatever is best for them. So I understand your frustration.
Can I make my...
Go ahead.
About the comment that you made? You said I can't understand your situation because I'm not a person of color. We are people of color. It's a different color. And I can't speak to your experiences or any black person's experience. You can't speak to mine, but we can speak from them. And we have to. We have to tell each other.
Yeah.
And we have to not cede the discussion because we're afraid of offending somebody. We have to have the real conversation. And this is what I'm talking about with the narrative, where we've become so afraid to offend people.
Yeah.
And a tremendous weapon, I'm going to call it, of the left has been the victim class and the victim class narrative. And it's been so effective for them.
I understand.
They've got us
Yeah.
to stop
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about absolutely urgent concerns, and because they keep pointing at the problem.
Right.
And because people are willing to acknowledge the problem, that's where they stop. They're like, yep, that's a problem. And then the liberals come along with their solution. Their solution is not a solution, it's their agenda. But they've used the identity of the problem to give themselves the opportunity to advance their agenda. And the agendas are not responding to the problems, and nobody's having a conversation.
You are.
We have to have the
We're having
real
the conversation now. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it now and we're talking about it. That's awesome. And I'm going to say this, you got to understand. Think about where I'm coming from. Look at me. I don't know what it's like to even be a woman. But I'm going to tell you this, as I've grown older, the things that women have to deal with compared to men, unbelievable. I have a colleague who is basically a woman raising a child all by herself, trying to work a full-time job. She is amazing. So that's my point. My point is we need to talk about these things. We need to talk about, the hardships that women have versus men. It's a fact. It's a fact. And anyone who says it isn't, go ahead. Let's talk about it. Debate me about it. So this is good. This is open discussion. This is good. There's nothing wrong with anything that you said, and I agree. On the far left, let's talk about them, because I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about socialist Democrats. I'm talking about AOC, Antonio Delgado. See, this is what the thing is with this guy. Okay, the guy, if I'm his political consultant, this is what I'm saying. Tony, do me a favor. Just be vanilla. Don't do anything crazy in your first 2 years. Don't go sit there with AOC. Don't go sit there with some of the other wackadoo Democrats. Play it safe, because you got to win your second term. You win the second term, harder to kick them out after the third race. So that's why this race is so critical. You think he hasn't shown his true colors? Go ahead, look at his history. This guy is AOC. He's the 5th member of the squad. But he's kept quiet. Want to know why? Because it's smart. He's smart. Keep it down. Don't go do what AOC does. She has the ability to sit there and say what she wants to say because she comes from New York City. They're going to vote her in no matter what. Whoever the D is, she wins. Up here, he's got a problem. So everything you said makes sense. And what they do on the far left, you're right, and we see it now, right? We see it with the riots. It's people hijacking a good cause. It's not a bad cause to sit there and protest racism.
They're very crafty with their
They
language.
hijacked it. I get it. No, I understand.
You can support Black lives without supporting Black Lives Matter. And they take control of the
protests have
language,
been
and
hijacked.
we have to stop letting them do that.
I agree.
Here's another question
So
from the
you know what
viewing
you do?
audience.
You vote out Antonio Delgado and you put guys like me.
Do you think it's appropriate for National Guardsmen and police officers to take a knee when requested by protesters?
I think it's up to every individual. I'm an American. If they feel that that's appropriate at the time, and they do that. Do I think,
In uniform?
I think whatever their commander tells them to do, that's what they do. They follow orders. So when you talk about National Guardsmen, they follow the orders of their commander. That's it, period. If the commander says take a knee, you take a knee. If he says don't take a knee, you don't take a knee. You follow orders, you obey. That's the bottom line when you're in the Army. When you're in the Navy, you're in the Marines, you do whatever is essential for the mission, and that's a commander's decision. So individual soldiers who are taking a knee, that's up for the Uniform Code of Military Justice as to whether or not they broke orders. Law enforcement, I can't speak to it. I'm not a cop. I'm not a cop.
So I want to go back to your question. The first thing is I am black, so I can speak to this from that side. First off, honestly, it's to me a bit degrading when people keep saying black and white, us and them. And my faith says that we're all created equal. I don't have a black America or a white America. So that's that part. So I want to kind of squash the conversation and hopefully our politicians, and I hate using that word, will learn that this is not a black and white issue. It's not. So I hope that you'll stop thinking that I can't say what's in you. I haven't walked in your shoes. You know, there's only one race. It's a human race. There is no black race and there's no white. Those are crayon colors. They're not races. We are people and we need to treat each other like that. That's it. Nothing else. As long as we come from that perspective, we'll do fine. The rest of it is garbage and distraction. Now, my next question, though, is that that one gets me there. But I want to go back into the vaccine. We've got 70% of all the ads that we see on all the airwaves are vaccine companies or pharmaceutical companies. We know that the pharmaceutical is the highest power, most money that's coming in as a lobbyist in Congress. What are your thoughts on how you start to turn the corner from listening to so many of them and letting them have their way with Congress? I mean, there's so many that are afraid. They've already said that bills that come to the floor are dead upon arrival because there's so much money and power in the pharmaceuticals. And most of them are afraid to stand up, and these are their words. They're afraid. They've been them and their families, have been told that something would happen to them. They wouldn't make it to their next election, what have you. They're threatened, and nothing comes to the floor. So, I'm looking for somebody that, as you said, has the balls to stand up and fight these companies.
I think I used the word stones.
Well, stones, balls,
All right, so first thing he said, I thank you for saying that, but I can't not acknowledge that there's racism in this country, and that's okay.
Does racism come from every side?
Everywhere. I know, people, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Directions, so
thank you for saying what you're saying, but let's get to the pharmaceutical issue.
Yep.
All right?
Money and power in the pharmaceuticals.
This is watching it. Well, you don't need to watch it on your phone, man. I'm right here.
It's live.
It's working okay then.
Right here.
Well done.
It's like everybody nowadays. I go to my kids' concerts, and all you see is a bunch of phones up, and it's like, wait, just live in the moment. It's right here. It's happening right in front of you. You don't need to record it. I have a mother, and my father's dead. He died of cancer, and she has medical obstacles that she has to overcome. And irrespective of Obamacare, her prescriptions are through the roof. They are gouging us, and what needs to happen is President Trump is talking about this. Go ahead, look at his history. He talks about telling these drug companies enough is enough. Here's what happens. They end up making a pill, and that pill addresses X. And then they get a patent and they get a license to sell that pill exclusively for a certain amount of time. That's got to stop. You can't, there are too many people in this country that need medications. We have the biggest population generation ever in the United States of America, which is the baby boomers, which is my mom, and probably your mom. And now they all have to have health care, which requires medication. And when they're paying $1,300 a month for a little bottle of pills, unacceptable. So the licenses have to go out the door, and we have to do what President Trump wants to do, which is allow American, what we need is competition, right? So I'm either gonna buy my pills from Canada or America. Who wins? That's what you do, that's the market system. Who wins? Canada's less, same pill, I'm going to Canada. Now that may suck for America, but guess what that will do? That American company is now gonna drop their prices down. And then now we have competition. And that's what we need. So what we need is to let go of the licenses, let go of the patents, and let everybody develop the same drugs. I get it, if you develop a drug and you did it because you're a genius and someone else couldn't think about it, you should have a certain amount of time where it's, hey, this is mine, right? But when we talk about the health care of millions and millions and millions of people, that's what matters. Lives matter.
So on that note, will you also?
I'm not going to be involved by the pharmaceutical companies.
That's the thing. I don't think you answered my question on how to get pharma out of government. But let me.
Here's how you do. I have no idea. You ready? Competition.
Okay. All right.
And here's what happens. No, wait. I did answer your question. Those congressmen and senators, they don't want competition. Those guys are filling up their coffers full of money for their next campaign route or what. I don't know how. This is the other thing. People keep on talking. Kyle, are you going to end up becoming a millionaire? No. I don't understand how someone in Congress who makes $173,000 a year all of a sudden becomes a millionaire after their first term. I don't get it. Other than they're getting their pockets lined somehow. That's not going to be me. You're not going to see that from me. So the answer is competition. And the answer is I'm not taking money from any pharmaceutical company. And they're watching me right now, by the way. Do you think they like me? They don't like me.
Okay, so the other part of the question is, will you also fight to overturn the Protection Act for pharmaceutical companies that can't be sued for harm from vaccines?
Yes.
Perfect.
I'd like to interject some things there. Number one, these guys don't take money from the pharma companies. It comes roundabout.
Sure.
You vote for a certain thing,
Sure.
that company wants to reward you, so they'll take money and they'll put it in this company.
It's not going to happen with me, I
And then they
promise you.
slide it back into your war chest.
I promise.
That's how it happens. There's no paper
Listen,
trail.
I live in a...
No, I'm not suggesting.
No, I'm telling you. I'm just saying, I'm going to answer your question. I'm not afraid of it. I'm going to live in the same house that I live in probably until the day I die. It's a small Cape Cod house. I'm lucky to live where I live. I'm fortunate for it. That's it.
Okay. I trust.
I'm telling you, I come from a blue-collar family. I am not rich. I do not come from anything other than having my mom and dad on Sunday mornings eating breakfast, talking about how we're going to pay for the bills. And guess what? I've done the same thing. So even though I'm a lawyer, you think, you know, I had somebody say, oh, he's a lawyer, he makes all this money. Do me a favor, right? Come be a lawyer, see how much money you make. I still pay off, I paid off my college loans. Who paid it off? Me. My law school loans, I'm still paying them off. I got 2 mortgages, my law school loans and I got a house mortgage. I know what it's like. I do not come from wealth. I pulled myself up to where I am right now. So I don't want to hear any more. You want to ask me the question, it's no problem, but I will not be that guy.
Okay, Kyle,
I'm not going to be Bernie Sanders who ends up going to get a second house and a third house and a fourth house.
I have a ton of fiscal questions, but I have a bigger one, and that's a broader question, and that is, in today's political world, the libs have all their goals and objectives, and the conservatives have what? We'd like to stay where we are, and then when we negotiate, we keep moving left, because our point is here, their point is there. So we compromise and we always give to them. do you have any conservative objectives that maybe the liberals wouldn't like? For example, let's repeal the 16th Amendment, repeal the 17th Amendment, repeal the 19th Amendment, there's a good one for you, and repeal, let's say, the 26th Amendment.
Well, number one,
Why don't we fight for that?
yeah, let me just tell you something right
Yes.
now. Semper Fi. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I am never, ever, ever going to compromise the Constitution of the United States of America.
Mhm.
What's funny about people, and again, I call them socialist Democrats, is that when I grew up, I was taught Democrats are all for free speech. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're about quelling your speech. When you see their true colors, and we've seen them, again, AOC is a gift. Just a gift, man. I'm okay with her talking. I just say, let her talk. Let her talk. And then you got Joe Biden, who used to be a blue dog Democrat. Now he starts talking like her. Thank you. Keep going. I will never compromise the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, or any of the amendments to the United States of America Constitution, period. Okay? That's it. When you talk about compromise, you're talking about this, and this is where I get where you're going, right? The frustration. President wants to pass a bill. Let's give American businesses money. We got to kickstart and jump the economy. They come on the left and they say, no, the Congress won't pass it because they want all this pork. Oh, we want stuff for solar energy. We want stuff for,
Kennedy Center.
yeah, like cannabis stuff. And they add all this pork on it. And then we're left in a position as to what do we do, what are we doing? And as far as I'm concerned is this. If you're a Republican, put the bill that you want on the floor, let them pass it. If they knock it down, then you point the finger at them. But you know what? Today, establishment Republicans, they won't do that.
No, I agree.
My point is, look, you want a bill, and you want it just to be this. Give money to businesses. Get it going. Put it on the floor. If they vote it down, then you sit there and are able to sit there and argue with them and say, you voted this down. Businesses are hurting. You voted it down. Instead, they sit there and do this back and forth thing where they're like, oh, you can give me, and I get that. That's the art of negotiation in a lot of ways, but I understand what you're saying. They add a lot of stuff on there that we don't want, but at the end of the day, you have to have people who are willing to sit there and put bills down to pass.
One quick question about what you guys were talking before. How do you get pharma out of this and so forth and so on? How about some kind of somebody just publishing who votes for what?
That's a good idea, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
This way you know which congressman voted for that.
Right.
And now, next time he comes up for, or what does this bill mean?
Yeah.
Or
Is there
actually,
anybody clearing this kind of
or actually
information?
making all conversations public, no behind door discussions with
Yeah.
pharmaceutical companies. Know what they're offering, and you force them to put it on the record. But I do have one other one though.
Well, before you go there, I just want you to understand something. Again, I grew up in what I believe to be a Democratic household, even though I turned into a Republican. My mother and father claimed to be independents, but I don't think that they voted for a Republican since Ronald Reagan, when everybody voted for him in that election where he took 49 out of 50 states. She made me promise that I would fight Big Pharma and knock down these prices. Okay? And I'm gonna keep that promise.
Tom has a question.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple things. Dennis kind of stole my thunder on that.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, that's good. You say you got the stand to stand up to the House of Leadership and the House of Representatives. You guys can potentially take control of the House. Do you have the sand to stand up to your own party? Because I'll tell you, in my mind, what's the guy's name? Kevin
McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy. He's just another Boehner clone, and I don't trust him. He's a rhino. He's a career guy. Assure me, and I got a couple other follow-ups too.
Sure.
Assure me that you have the sand to stand up to him when your party's in control, potentially.
I don't like establishment Republicans. I think they're weak. They're weak-kneed. A lot of them never served their country. So if I have the sand to stand up against them, that's what I've been doing since day one when I joined this race. And my wife, now let's talk about another promise, right? I got my mom gave me a promise, my wife made a promise. And she said, Kyle, they're gonna come at you, they're gonna attack you, they're gonna make lies about you. They've already done this. My own party, the Republicans, have already done this. I haven't even gotten through that because I got a primary on June 23rd. By the way, nobody's brought it up, but you gotta vote on June 23rd. And if you got an absentee ballot, vote for me right now.
We were gonna mention that at the end,
Okay, I know.
June
But we got,
23rd.
and by the way, I'm not good at this, but it's Kyle for NY-19.com. KYLEFOR NY-19.com. You gotta donate today. I've gotten a lot of donations come in recently, which is good because I'm getting back out there. I'm not an establishment Republican, and you're gonna see a new class of Republicans that are going to be raised that follow under President Trump. I don't like establishment Republicans. I do not like rhinos. I think New York State is made up full of rhinos. I am not happy with certain things that I see in New York State. And with regard to Republicans, I think that they're Republicans in name only. And that's just not me.
Cool.
I'm a conservative guy. I'm a Second Amendment guy. I'm a First Amendment guy. But I'm also a common sense guy. So don't worry about me versus the establishment because I have no problem. And by the way, when I've gotten these attacks, and you know what I'm talking about to everybody out there, inside my own party, they're not. Those are establishment people.
Yep, okay. Good. Now to Andre's point, getting pharmaceutical out of government, where do you see tort reform figuring in that?
Oh, that's gotta happen. Do you
Being a
wanna know
lawyer.
why?
Being a lawyer.
I know.
Okay.
You think I'm happy with it? The court systems are completely backed up. You wanna know why? Because everybody sues everybody.
Yep, absolutely.
And there's no limitations on it. And then you have things like doctors being hesitant to do certain things because they're afraid that they're gonna get sued.
Can't afford their medical malpractice.
They can't afford medical malpractice is through the roof. That's definite. I can tell you that right now. Definite. Now, you think the lawyers are happy with me saying this? My brothers and sisters out there, when they see this, they're gonna be furious.
Delgado, the lawyer.
Well, he claims to be a lawyer. Let's have a debate with him and me, and we'll see who's the real trial
So
attorney.
we'll see after June, right?
Yeah. So I do believe that there needs to be tort reform, especially with medical malpractice. It's not fair for our doctors. Now, listen, if you got a doctor and he's supposed to amputate a right leg and he does a left leg, come on. But otherwise, some of the things that people sue on are ridiculous. I mean, this is life, right? People are gonna make certain mistakes. Nobody's perfect. So to sue a doctor over every single thing is ridiculous. I can tell you, I'm definitely for that. Personal injury, I agree that there's gotta be a limitation on that as well. And here's what ends up happening, because I'm in the system. Cases just get pushed on and on and on and on. And it's not fair. It's not fair for the defendants, it's not fair for the plaintiffs, and the system is just, people just suing everybody. So there does have to be reform. You wouldn't think that you'd hear that from a guy like me, but.
Another viewer question. With the COVID-19 pandemic, our freedoms were taken away that are inscribed in the U.S. Bill of Rights. If elected, what would you do if a pandemic would occur again?
Well, first off, we have to prepare a little bit better. And I think that there were plans in place, but nobody anticipated what was going to happen. Second, I brought it up before, what needs to happen is you got to have leadership. And the president did, in my opinion, a very good job with what he could, right? He stopped travel from China. People beat him up on that. They beat him up. That was at the end of January. If he didn't do that, who knows how much explosive it would have been. So we're at a point right now where it was all about tamping down the spread of it because it was all about overloading the medical system. That was the whole point of it. But what has happened is that socialist Democrats who are in charge, like Andrew Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, they're taking advantage of it. The job was done. We've tamped it down. Everybody's got to get back to work. So what I think needs to happen is we have to have an understanding that this is probably going to happen in the future, and we have to be prepared for it. And I think we need to put more money into, frankly, you know who's going to end up bailing us out here is in a lot of ways, it's not just the president doing what he's doing, but it's also going to be people that they can figure out vaccines. It's the really smart people. So we have to have an encouragement for scientists to develop good vaccines, and we also have to have, I think, a better plan. Each state does, not the federal government. Each state does. This is a republic, okay? We're not communist China. Every state has a responsibility to their own citizens. So every state needs to have a better plan. It's not necessarily the federal government, it's every state. And you know what angers me? Is that you got Governor Cuomo sitting here crying to the federal government saying, it's your problem, it's your problem. So, no, it's not. Andrew, it's your state. Get the job done. And oh, we need 40,000 ventilators. No, we didn't. He was going hysterical about it. We didn't need that. What we needed to do was to tamp it down. We did that, and now they're still keeping these restrictions on us. Dutchess County has met 7 out of 7. Open up the county. Instead, we're kept with this web where we're dealing with Westchester is somehow lumped in with us. Why? Because people drive from Westchester up to Dutchess County? It's ridiculous.
So I think the business lockdown is totally unconstitutional. There's nothing in the federal or the New York State Constitution that says anything about the word virus. There's no virus in there. There's no lockdown in there. They're just taking what they want to do, voting what they want to do, and it's not in the Constitution.
I agree.
The Constitution is the people's document. That is what gives the government its permission
I agree.
to do what the people want them to do.
I agree.
Those items are not in the Constitution, so I feel like it's totally unconstitutional. Can you address this business lockdown BS?
Well, they're using, the governor is using the licensing of certain businesses. Liquor authority,
He'll take it away if you don't do certain.
the restaurants,
Professional.
okay, they'll pull your license.
Right.
If you're a beautician, they'll pull your license. So everything that is licensed by the state,
Right.
the governor abuses the power.
Right.
There are people that have been trying to open up, and they found that this is his technique to keep them under lockdown. So this licensing, and again, we know that the license is an additional tax imposed on the business community. Okay, every time that we're taxed, okay, we give the power and we give our money to the government, whether it's a local town, whether it's Dutchess County, to operate. At the end of the day, they'll send you a piece of paper that you'll put on the wall, and they're telling you, yes, now you could operate.
Can we have sanctions against governors?
So the bottom line is that I think that his personal opinion probably is going to be his personal opinion, but Congressman, I haven't heard any politicians come out during this COVID at the Congress level, Senate level, legislative level, come out and say boo about this.
Stefanik came out, I remember one thing
So
from her.
I think as
Yeah.
the Congress is concerned, because there is a division of power, and I agree with you what you said about the Constitution.
Yeah.
But there is a division between state and federal government. There are certain restrictions where the federal cannot overimpose certain constitutional rights to the state. So we agree that that's important. That's something that it's alive and well. But the usurpation of power by our governor is something that totally he went in.
He can just, they can speak out against it, let's put it that way, right? Try to.
Well, this is why you have elections. Let's cut to the chase. This is why you have elections.
But that's disproportionate in New York.
Well, listen, I understand.
Use the courts.
No, the courts.
Conservative.
So, I could have moved to Florida, I could have moved to Texas, I could have moved to Arizona when I got out of active duty. And I decided to come back home. And I decided to come back home to raise my family here because this is where my family is. My mother's here, my in-laws are here, and I love them to death. And I wanted them to have the same experiences that I've had. Fishing in the Wappingers Creek again, all these things. Now, I came back to a state where taxes are through the roof. It's insane. The amount of taxes here are just crazy. And government control over us is completely off the charts, especially during this pandemic, right? I mean, now we know. This is what happens. So I'm here to bring freedom back to New York. I'll do it the best that I can, and that's all I can tell you. So, yes, ma'am.
Can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
ask a question?
Yes.
So, we usually follow our candidates through and through. And I'm going to kind of ask a pledge from you, like in the past we've asked other candidates who went to Washington, but then they didn't deliver the goods. And that's something that needs to be addressed. We believe in term limits. So
So do I.
once I'm done, you know, do you believe in term limits?
course.
And will you go to Washington and then how many years you want to serve and then come back and be a normal citizen again? Second of all, we believe in less government. We believe in lowering our taxes. We also strongly address the federal spending.
Yeah.
And so let me give you a little background, and I'm going to mention some names. Nan Hayward was one of the people that went to Washington, and he was embraced by the Tea Party movement. And she went to Washington for 3 years, and what turned off the Tea Party group was one time when the national debt was going up. She went on national TV, and I strongly remember vividly Larry Kudlow show, and she said to the nation, no matter what, the national debt needs to be raised. Well, that turned that conservative movement away from her, and the following term she lost. So we also had John Fauser, and the question was asked to John Fauser, will you pledge to term limits? And he would not pledge to that. Sure enough, John went to Washington, and we know the consequences, where he had to work with the president, and he was wobbling back and forth. And the constituents in their district realized that this was not a strong candidate. We are people that not necessarily vote R and D, but we find a strong candidate, we will go for that strong candidate. And we will do what it takes for that person to be elected. So, few things like I pose questions to you. Will you pledge to term limits? Will you go to Washington and address the concerns of the Tea Party? Not only that, will you also stand up? Because the Tea Party movement nationally, when President Trump was president, has been attacked. It's been under attack. And no one raised a finger to defend that movement. So a few questions, if you could say any.
Yeah, I'm okay with, I'm good with term limits, I agree. I don't think that people should be professional politicians for their whole life. I don't like to see a congressman doing 10, 15 terms. I mean, go do something else, go fish. So I'm good with that, and I think that you need to change. With regard to defending the president, I already have, and I always will. And he's my president, and again, you know, what I found in politics is, you know, it's funny, everyone makes fun of lawyers, but I'm gonna tell you something. I got in this game, politicians, holy cow. It's like jumping in a barrel full of snakes. So understand this. I am for the Tea Party. I am for that movement. I can't guarantee you that 100% of what you want I'm going to deliver, but I can guarantee you you're never going to find someone closer to your beliefs than you've got right here. and it's funny, people keep on pushing me on this. I'm like, what am I saying that you disagree with? What am I saying? So if you want a man of integrity who's gonna sit there and vote and be, and have the sand to vote, I'm not going to let establishment Republicans sway me. I'm a big boy. And I've been through hell and back. When I bring up my daughter, it's because she's my hero. 30 surgeries, she's 11 years old. Think about them apples. Okay? You know how many times I've been in the hospital? You know how many times I've had to sit there for over a week with her night and day? And she's as tough as it gets. You think I'm gonna jeopardize that? You think I'm gonna go on the left? There's not one thing that I've said that could be lefty except for maybe prescription drugs. We gotta fix that. I mean, enough is enough. And what I'm trying to say is this. I can't sit there and say 1,000% that I'm gonna go with every single, I'm not gonna sit there and tell you, oh, do you X, Y, and Z, I want X, Y, and Z, I want X, Y, and Z. If I don't believe in Z, I'm gonna tell you. If I don't think that Z is good for this community and the 19th district, I'm gonna tell you. So I'm giving you honesty, I'm giving you honor. You're not gonna get 100%, you're not gonna get it. It's just, there's gonna be some times where there's gonna be compromise. I'm not afraid to say it. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. I will do whatever is best for this community, and I don't understand what I've said, where I've got, and I'm gonna point it out, they're conservatives. They come at me. I won the Conservative Party in Dutchess County, by the way. I got it. That was me talking to them. But for some reason, I just don't get it. And I don't know what else to tell you, Manny, other than that's an honest answer from an honest guy.
Can I hit you with a bunch of quick questions?
Sure.
Okay, taxes.
Yes, sir.
Do you support President Trump's tax cut?
I do.
And are you basically against increasing taxes?
I am.
There would have to be a very strong reason for you to
I am.
understand. All right, now, are you for...
That's easy. You're
Are
throwing
you-
me softballs.
I know I am, but I gotta get them on record.
Sure.
You're a lawyer, you know, unless you say it, we don't know it's a fact. Spending.
No new taxes. I'm going to tell you this right now. I will never vote for an increase in taxes, ever. So go ahead.
That means you may have to not even vote for a budget, right?
I'll vote against it.
With the federal...
Then I
We
vote against it.
raise the debt ceiling
Then I
all the
vote
time.
against it.
That was the next question. The federal
Then I vote
budget.
against it.
Yeah.
What's good for New York 19?
The next federal budget coming up, I mean, are you looking to diminish the size of the budget?
I am.
They jumped it from what,
3.6
billion or whatever the hell it is now?
And you know what the best way to do that is?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Here's what needs to happen. Money's got to start flowing. Everybody's got to reopen. I don't know how many times I can say. Business.
Agreed.
Money, people being employed, because then you're paying taxes, and that tax is paying down that debt. We don't need to increase the debt.
All right, but you would then start to diminish the amount of spending on the
Yes,
federal
sir.
level? Okay, good. How about the debt?
We got to reduce the debt.
Okay, so
We
you're
gotta
gonna
reduce
work
it big time.
specifically to reduce the debt.
Big time.
Now, there's no doubt that when you get the economy rolling and people are
The
paying
debt's going to
taxes,
come
their
down.
fair share,
Right.
whatever the
And we
heck
have
it
to
may be.
stop relying on China, because a lot of that debt is owned by China. And that's unacceptable. The Wuhan virus came from China.
We can try
And
for
all
that.
the jobs that are overseas, a lot of them need to come back here.
You're against earmarks?
Completely.
Okay, good.
That's poor.
Okay. Now, the government size.
Too
Okay.
big.
All right, so you have.
The only thing I support is the military being strong and bumping. I don't care what anyone says, but the military's got to be well funded. And if you don't give us the boots to march in and the right equipment to work, then you don't have a strong military. And a strong military, by the way, is a deterrent. It's a deterrent for everybody else in the world to act badly.
I agree.
So,
Now, would you diminish the size of government in the sense that,
Oh,
like, you
completely.
got the Department of Education, you need a Department of Education.
Do I get to ask my question? Maddie jumped me.
Sorry.
I concede to the lady.
yes, ma'am.
I got involved, to my chagrin, because of Manny, in the local school board because
Okay.
of the Common Core.
Okay,
We pay our school taxes locally, and our education's been federalized. Not just at the state level, the state only piled on the, their own agenda to it, but we pay our taxes locally, and we're being dictated Common Core from the federal level, and then another layer at the state level. Our children are not being taught the fundamentals of our Constitution. They're being taught the UN Declaration of Human Rights, which is absolutely, runs contrary completely to our national sovereignty and our liberty and our Constitution. They do it through funding, and they change the laws, they pass these bills, and then they hold us hostage to this curriculum. Our children are not being taught the fundamentals of liberty in this country. How do we get our voice back at the local level to what our children are learning, and how do we get the UN out of our education system?
what I think is necessary when it comes to education is this, first and foremost. Now, some people are going to sit there and say, I already tell you. My mom's a teacher. My aunt's a teacher. My sibling's a teacher. My wife has a master's degree in education. My friends are teachers. And here's what I think. Teachers should be able to teach without the government poking their heads into the classroom. If a teacher sucks, then the teacher needs to get fired. Okay? Now, with regard to what you're talking about, those are fundamental things that people need to learn to grow up in America. If you don't understand the Bill of Rights, if you don't understand the Constitution, if you don't understand the Revolutionary War, the consequences of the Civil War, World War I, World War II, then that's wrong. I think that there are certain things that should be required. And people growing up in this country need to understand how we came from here to where we are today. So in terms of history and social studies, I think there need to be requirements so that people understand what it means to be a free America and why we came here. And more
Who should set
importantly,
them?
I think it has to be requirements. I think that there has to be requirements when it comes to social studies. I do.
At a
Federal?
federal level?
Federal?
Or at a
No,
local?
I think it's a local, I think it's a state level.
It
It's
is.
a state level. I don't, less is best when it comes to the federal government. I think it's gotta be at state level. So if you don't like it, then you gotta vote these people out at the state level,
That's right.
okay? But every kid needs to understand where we came from and how we got here.
But this
And
is
they need to
currently, the
understand.
legislation and currently the funding legislation is at the federal government.
Yeah, Common Core was not a good
And that's why the states are
idea.
buying into it.
That was a usurpation of power by the federal government under Obama.
Right, so let's talk about this big picture, right? You're absolutely right. What I'm saying to you is federal government less, local government more. Okay, especially when it comes to educating your kids. And if you don't like it, you gotta pick up your family, go get a different job and go someplace else. And I understand that New York State, I mean, this is where we live. You should vote for me because, and I always forget to say this, we're just talking here like friends, but you should vote for me because you know what it's like to live under the monarchy of Andrew Cuomo, a Democrat-led House and Senate. This is what you get, tyranny. And you know what's funny? What's always funny to me is, but in my opinion, I've grown up in a family that is filled with educators. And you know what the best thing to do? Let the educators educate. And they'll get the job done. I mean, there's some really fine people that we have in our educational system. But I get what you're saying. they're being forced to teach more about the UN resolutions than they are about the Bill of Rights.
And they have all the clubs
Right,
in
so
there,
I
and
believe-
model UN,
I
and
believe
they're
that-
just bringing these kids into this mentality of the global socialist.
Right.
you know.
So let me get back to what I brought up on a radio show. This is very important. You bring up a good point, okay? You have to understand that the socialist Democrats, again, I'm not saying Democrats, I'm saying socialist Democrats, they've taken over education. They own the media. They've tried to take over healthcare, and they've done a pretty good job. It's not 100% yet, but I'm telling you, once they take over that, then they own you. You're nothing more than a sheep, okay? So I get where you're coming from, because they've taken over the educational system. But the most important thing that we can do as citizens in the United States of America, as a father and mother, as I am, 4 kids, is that when you're at home, you raise your kids right. And you tell your kids, look, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna see this, but keep an open mind. That's the most important thing. Hear what they have to say, do what you gotta do to get the job done. But if you're not raising your kids right, then you're just letting the government raise them. And that's wrong. Citizens in the United States of America are free because of how they raise their kids, and you've got to raise your kids to keep an open mind. And if they go to the left, so what? It is what it is. But if you have at least done your job and shown them the other side, then you've done your job as parents. It all starts in the home. You've got to get back to family first and common sense.
Another viewer question. Speaking of the upcoming primary, what are the main policy differences between you and your opponent? What makes you the stronger candidate?
I had the same question posed to me on the radio show, and I'm just going to tell you this. I'm not a guy that beats up on other Republicans. So the primary will happen on June 23rd. Everybody needs to get out and vote. Governor Cuomo has limited the amount of places that you can vote at. But I'm not going to beat up on my opponent other than to say, look at my resume, go to my website. I stand on my record as a person. I'm a family man. I'm a soldier. I've served God and country. And look at my record. I'm a trial attorney. We have to beat Antonio Delgado. The questions should be about me versus him. And you know how I beat him? Stand up on a stage, and we have a nice little discussion about all the things going on in the country, and we have a nice little debate. And I'm gonna beat him, because he can't beat me. I respect my opponent in the Republican Party, and I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna sit here and beat anybody down. I'm not doing that. Period.
Go ahead, John has a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is where things get a little murky.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are against raising the debt limit.
25.
Yep.
You're against raising taxes.
Yep.
But yet we have our governor who is pleading. I bet you I've missed 3 press conferences of his in the last 3 months.
Okay.
Pleading every day that he needs federal money.
Right.
So
This is big
that fifth stimulus bill that I talked about
Right.
includes money for states and local governments.
No.
So not as only Governor Cuomo looking for money, but the county executives are looking for money. So my question to you is, you know, Governor Cuomo says we're going to cut education by 20%, up go the school taxes, we're going to cut hospitals by 20%, and we're going to cut the local governments by 20%. So I don't know how the counties are going to deal with that. So without the federal stimulus, he's threatening school tax increases, local county tax increases.
Yeah, it's all for Gazy.
Yeah, okay. He's always
You know
playing a
what
game of
Fugazi
chicken.
is?
I know what Fugazi is.
Okay. For Gazy's, it's all fake. They just want as much money in as they can get, and that's how they play the game.
So he's playing a game of chicken.
He's playing a game.
Because he didn't say he was gonna cut the Hollywood taxes down.
All you gotta do is open up and let the business people and the people that employ people and the workers get back to work. Everybody's gonna make more money, and I'm telling you, I mean it. When I came in here on 82, it's beautiful. All these people are out. People have had it. Enough is enough. Open it up. He doesn't need any more federal money. He's already taxed us to death. He doesn't need any more money. He'll grab as much as he can. He's a socialist Democrat. That's what they do. They're going to sit there and grab as much as they can. And they're going to sit there and plead, I need 40,000 ventilators. Really? Did he need 40,000 ventilators? No. He didn't need 40,000 ventilators. And that's what he does. And then he threatens local government as well. Because then everybody runs on one word. What do they run on?
Fear.
Fear. Thank you.
Kyle,
Let's start running on love. How about a little LOV?
Kyle, can I ask you another bunch of questions, real quick? Or you want,
And Andre, yes.
Andre, you got it?
Fundamental.
Go ahead.
Second Amendment, and
Yeah.
so there's two sides to this. We got Second Amendment in the Constitution for a specific reason, and that was so that we can protect ourselves from a tyrannical government.
Yes, sir.
And so a couple things that come up. You brought up police. You don't know what it's like in their shoes. Police are corporate entities. If you didn't know, they are all corporations. They are not owned by the state. They're paid for by our taxes as well as whatever corporate interest. So would you support police being publicly owned organizations, owned by the public? And then on the other side of that, would you also work to get every state to be a Second Amendment haven, because we have to be able to protect ourselves? Two different questions.
Yeah.
One
Let me get to the
very
first
hard.
one. I guess I'm not educated enough on it, but that's news to me. If you're telling me that the town of Poughkeepsie Police are owned by a private entity,
They are all corporate entities. Everyone has a filing. It's a corporation. Every one of them. So, and I pulled it up.
Yeah,
I already
they're
had this
funded by the
conversation with
public.
people.
they're funded by the public.
To a degree, they get tax money, but they also have, so I have people that are donating. I lived right over across the river for a while, and they would donate. I donated to my police station.
I disagree with that premise,
Okay, that's fine.
and I disagree with it. Let me talk about law enforcement, and I'll get the Second Amendment. It's okay. I disagree with what you said.
It's okay.
It's okay, and I get that.
It's already, it's fine. I can send you some information on that though, and then you
Sure.
can have a conversation on
Yeah,
that.
we can have.
But the Second
Wait.
Amendment part is
Well,
huge.
let me talk about law enforcement. First off, let's get Andrew Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, tonight. You take off your suit. You go down to the local police station, and Andrew, you'd have to come on down to New York City, put on a police uniform, put on a mask, put on the protective gear, and go out into the streets. And you stay there from 7 p.m.
12-hour
until
shifts.
7 a.m. And then you sit there and talk to me about law enforcement. So I just want to say that first and foremost. I dare you. I triple dog dare you. I'm going to skip double dog. I triple dog dare you. Okay? I support law enforcement completely.
Mhm.
I realize that you got that people like that animal in Minneapolis that caused a lot of this. I watched that. Broke my heart. But I support law enforcement 100%. I don't agree with the militarization of law enforcement. I disagree with that because I find that to be, when I see law enforcement dressed up like they're soldiers and they got soldiers, it's too much, okay? You're law enforcement. Enforce the law. You're not sitting here. I don't want, because that's too much governmental power in my opinion. To get back to the Second Amendment, if I go to Washington and people vote me in, I'm going to get an A++ rating for the Second Amendment.
Well, this goes beyond that though.
Okay, well, hang on.
Removing limitations of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, I think the SAFE Act is unconstitutional.
Okay, good.
Okay?
All right,
I think it's unconstitutional, and it needs to be brought to the Supreme Court.
perfect.
What I think is that citizens should also have access, easier access, to licenses so that they can carry guns across state lines. I think that the Second Amendment was made for two reasons. One, that is the barrier between us and the government, okay? That's what stands between us. And to limit those rights is the federal government coming in and taking away the power of the people. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. All right?
That's why I have
And-
licenses at all, though.
and-
That's the problem.
And I'll tell you another thing.
Restriction.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. The other thing that most people don't understand is that the Second Amendment is also a deterrent to our enemies across the seas.
Sure.
You say, why? What are you talking about? There are more guns in the state of Wisconsin than there are in Russia. So think about that. If you're a foreign government, you're going, wow, let's just think, well, maybe we can invade the United States of America. They're not going to do that. Because they're terrified that every single household has a gun. And we're not...
That's the other reason why Hitler never.
Right,
That's
right. What's the first thing that the Nazis did? The first thing the Nazis did when they took over, they took away the
Yeah,
guns.
this one.
And yet, here's what's funny. The left, I'm not saying Democrats, I'm saying the far left.
Progressive.
They'll call me a Nazi. Why? First thing the Nazis did was take away your Second Amendment. What are you talking about? If they call me a Nazi, they're the Nazi. That's what the, President Trump, you colluded with Russia. No, you colluded with Russia, right? Oh, we're gonna investigate you for Ukraine. No, Joe Biden. You are the one who messed with Ukraine and sat there and said, if this guy doesn't go by six hours, you're not gonna get your funding. And somehow Ukraine came on our president. That's what they do. Here's another thing that I've learned about being in politics. Democrats are amazing politicians. They know how to cut you off at the ankles, and you know what? Think about it. Look at what Joe Biden said. It's on video about his son, with the prosecutor looking into his son, and if you don't do this, I'm going to take away your funding. And then somehow the President of the United States is getting blamed for Ukraine. Look at what Hillary Clinton did when she bought that Steele dossier. It had to do with the Russians. And then now, no, you did it. They're just, you're through the roof. And I know they're watching right now, so how you doing?
It helps to have a media in your back pocket.
Yeah,
Because that's why none of this is
You're
exposed.
preaching to the choir. I already
Yes, sir.
support President Trump.
We have another viewer question. Ignoring the illegal migration across the border, are you in support of the current state of the legal immigration system, as in how many are let in and the makeup of these immigrants?
Well, it's a very detailed question. That's a good question. Here's my thought on this, okay? We have to build the wall, period. And then what we have to do is we have to allow good people that want to immigrate here from anywhere, it doesn't have to be Mexico or South America, to come here, but the laws are so hard, the immigration laws are so ridiculous, we have to kind of streamline it. So we don't want illegal people coming over, we want them coming over, working and doing the right way, and getting over in the right way, and that's my position of it, but the wall's got to get built. It's just unbelievable. You can't have people crossing the borders, and that's another thing that they sit there and say, well, people on the left say America isn't what they want it to be, but why do so many people want to rush up here? It's because we're the best. This is the best country, in my opinion, in the world. And we just have to slow it down and stop it and have them come in through the right way. There's no reason why a Mexican person shouldn't be able to become a United States citizen. No reason. And they just have to do it through a more streamlined process. So build the wall, and then make a streamlined process so people can get through and actually become citizens of this country. I got no problem with it.
By streamlined process, are you talking about?
The process to become a United States citizen is so convoluted and so difficult.
But we still take in more legal immigrants.
I'm
every
saying
year
no
than the
more
rest
illegal-
of the world combined.
I'm saying no more illegal immigration. I'm saying
Okay,
build the
fine,
wall.
but if you're going to streamline it, aren't you going to add to the number of legals coming in? Right now,
Yeah,
the
but-
number of legals is
Well,
phenomenal.
listen, I'm not going to go, because I'm going to tell you something right now. My grandfather came from Germany. And now he became a citizen. And then he fought for us in World War II.
Sure.
So why shouldn't somebody from Mexico also be able to do the same thing?
Well, my family
And
comes
back
from
then,
Mexico.
well, back then, it was easier to do than it is now. So my point is, stop the illegal immigration, build a wall, and then make the process a
That's
lot
not-
more simpler.
That's not
So-
quite true. It wasn't so easy to come here.
I understand that. They had to learn how to speak English. I'm not
Well, that's
saying,
after the fact.
I'm saying the process is too hard.
But if you make it easier, we can't handle the numbers now. You make it streamlined.
We can't handle the illegal
We
population
can't
now.
handle the legal ones either.
So,
Sure we
Do you
can,
know how big
because,
that number is?
no.
So may I?
I disagree with
May
you.
I interrupt and clarify
Sure.
a few things? I mean, since I'm probably the only immigrant in this group right now, legal immigrant.
Yeah.
The way the, and he said streamlining, maybe a better word should have been used, that we do have laws in the books at the federal level. And that for many years have been working properly.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, when I came from Italy many years ago, I've been over here over 40 years. It took me 2 years to go through the application to become a legal citizen of this country. You have to go through a rigorous physical, make sure you have no diseases.
Right.
You also have to have a rigorous background check. The family that brought you to the country had to post a bond. In 1972, the bond was $40,000. And the purpose of that bond is so that the government that hosts me will not endure any expenses if in case I became a bad citizen. Which to me, those are all sound laws. We do have the laws in the books, okay? And maybe that's what Kyle was alluding, streamlining. President Trump was very explicit. President Trump was very explicit. We also, when I came in this country, we had quotas. So what do we need today? We need bricklayers, okay? What is the best country in the world to produce bricklayers? We need electricians. We need metal workers. We need computers operators. We need computer scientists.
Yes,
We need doctors. We need nurses. There was a time when we needed nurses in this country. We brought them from the Philippines. So if you guys remember, you went to a hospital, a lot of nurses were Philippines. They spoke English. They were very well educated. They respected this country. So we need to bring people in that, first of all, will not burn this flag.
Right.
And they will have respect for the flag of the United States.
I agree.
And they will abide to all the laws. I remember when I was a teenager and I came over here, we were sitting at a table, my uncle said to me, "You're gonna see cops in the street. When they stop you, first of all, you say hello to them and say, 'How are you, sir?' But if they stop you, be very respectful." I never had an issue with that. Maybe I got a ticket that I shouldn't have got, but that's okay. But the thing of the matter is that what we have brought to this country now is a lot of people that they don't like what this flag stands for. And
Yeah,
my point to that is then you're not welcome in this country.
I agree with that.
Okay? And that's what we need to stand for.
Yeah.
The laws are in the books. We do not have to reinvent the wheels. So all these politicians that they think they're going to Washington, I'm going to, whatever. I think that Kyle used the wrong word before when he said streamline. Okay? Is there an adjustment that we might make? Yeah. If we need apple pickers in California, we get the apple pickers. I know that we have over here the vineyards in Millbrook. If you go over there, which I visited, some of you might visit, I asked, who runs your plants? He says, we have seasonal that come from Central America, and they're legal. You know, we bring them in, we pay them their salaries, they do what they need to, they go back to their country. They've been doing that for years. If you go someplace in the Jersey Shore, we got waitresses that they come from the Netherlands. Young people, they know they come over here for a reason. They don't want to stay their visa.
He's saying that because I'm Dutch, but
Okay? No, if you go to Jersey Shore, which I do, Wildwood Crest, you go to eat some of the restaurant. I ask the girls, I says, you know, where are you from? And they tell you.
okay.
And we're here for a certain amount of
No,
time.
I know.
When the season is over, they go
Yeah.
back.
Yep.
We have,
Same thing
it
with
works.
Disney World, they do the same thing in Disney
Yeah,
World.
it works. So, you know, when it needs to be regulated. It needs to be regulated because it's
Reform.
costing us all too much money.
Yes.
And I've been in the restaurant business, we use people that are from overseas all the time. But we pay them very well. And there is no truth and no lie when people say that you abuse those people. Some of the people that work in a restaurant and they work an 8-hour shift, working 6 days, they make over $1,000. They will not gonna work for you because they could work someplace else. So we need to regulate, okay, and bring the right people in. And I think you probably agree with that.
I agree with that, yeah.
But I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify this,
Thank you.
that the laws are in the books. And when the Democrats say to us, we need to change all that, well, you need to rip those laws that have been working for so many years and bring all the people that are illiterate and they will vote for a Democrat at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because you will make it dependent on the government. And we
Right.
do not need
We don't
that.
need that. No. We don't need that.
Just for
Yes,
clarification
sir.
purposes, it was the word streamlined. It sort of implies that you're going to be bringing a lot more in. Legally, right now, the United States takes in more immigrants than the rest of the world combined. Legal. That's not the illegals, that's legals. And it is a difficult process, and it was designed to be a difficult process because the people who succeed really want to be here. It's not willy-nilly, you come through that front door because you feel like it, okay? So they made it a tough
I
process.
understand. I'm not
But
trying
there
to
are-
sit there and let
I know-
MS-13
I know,
come in.
But there are
Don't misinterpret.
certain problems with it, and there are. Your
Right.
H-1B1 visas, a prime example of a problem. Corporations here want to hire somebody at a cheaper price, let us say in Google. So they'll go to India, issue a H-1B1 visa, the person comes in, or as Disney World, and they're hired on the administrative level at about 1/10 the cost of the guy who's there, and the guy who's there has to train the new guy, and then he loses his job. These are problems in the immigration system. There's tons of them, but they have to be reformed. And then when you talk about seasonal workers, that's another problem we have. And we also have a problem with people coming in on a visa and stay. They don't go back. We don't track them. This is also a...
I'm just being honest with you, man.
I know. So I'm just
This is
saying
where I'm
that
at.
the whole immigration process has a major problem.
I know that.
Okay?
But
And it
I'm
has to
telling
be-
you, first and foremost,
Yeah.
the wall's gotta be built.
I agree with you on that. What do
Yeah.
you do, what about the illegals who are already here?
I think they gotta go back to where they came from.
Thank you, I agree, but that,
I mean,
I'm just
if
saying.
you're here illegally, they gotta, so
Okay, let's see.
illegal is illegal.
Yeah, I mean, you can always turn around and charge them for it too. They got here illegally and that's their cost for being here. And then you ship them back. All right, I'll shut up.
So I don't know if we have any last questions,
Yes.
but I
I
want
do.
Kyle to make a last closing statement, and then I think he gave us plenty of time.
Yeah.
I got another fast one, you, maybe one more? Or do you want
I
to?
think,
Oh, okay, go ahead.
If you have one, go ahead. I know you got it.
Okay, this is kind of the introduction is a little bit, but this guy's been waiting here.
Keep one more bottom, man.
yes.
We're all doing social distancing here, just so you know.
Okay,
But he is
here,
giving me a bottle of water.
this one gentleman has been waiting for this one.
Sure.
As a Jewish American at my school.
Or is he Ola?
Okay, as a Jewish American at my school, we had an incident last semester when a student drew F Israel in the snow. In response to this, the school took action against the student, and coincidentally, Trump signed an executive order protecting Jewish students from anti-Semitism. However, I recognize that it is not us Jews that are under attack on college campuses at all. Currently, there is a mass social media campaign to dox and report white kids for making dumb jokes online and ruining their lives. White kids in colleges are regularly demoralized by constant talk of, quote, privilege and blaming them for the racism of others. This doxing campaign seems to me as textbook blacklisting and an attack on freedom of speech. I know as a Jew I am always protected, but I am horrified for my white friends who may make off-color jokes or hold uncomfortable beliefs and get their lives ruined because someone overheard it. With you eventually in Washington, how can you help protect white students' free speech and their right to be educated and work without fear of termination due to the feelings of others?
That's some question.
It is.
Follow the Constitution. That's it. So nobody should be discriminated against. Nobody should be hurt. Anti-Semitism is a problem in this country, and it's got to stop. And we just follow the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty simple. It's all laid out for us.
And toughen up.
And yeah, and so I don't want somebody. I mean that's a loaded question, and it's a bunch of baloney. Follow the Constitution. There's your answer. I could give that answer, by the way, to any single question you give me. Any single one. Follow the Constitution. Follow the Constitution. Follow the Constitution. Okay? Less government. There you go. So go ahead, sir.
This is the final one that I have, and it's just based on.
And then I give a
what you
closing
just said.
statement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
good.
I think what you just said was spot on, follow the Constitution. So with that in mind, would you be willing to remove or repeal all of these new acts which give designated people certain rights, whether it's civil rights, LGBT rights? Everyone has these rights. Well, as you do that, you're diminishing the rights of others. Are you willing to fight to remove those and just say, treat everyone as one citizen? We are all citizens of the U.S.
Well, you made the point. You already answered it for me when you made your statement. Everybody is treated equally. Follow the Constitution.
Here, here.
Right on. Thank you.
Good enough.
Go ahead, Kyle, make your
Okay.
final statement.
So again, my name is Kyle Christian Vanderwater. I'm running for Congress. I do have a primary on June 23rd. What I need everybody to do is, if you had an absentee ballot sent to you and you don't feel comfortable going to one of the polling stations, send it in now and make sure that you vote for Kyle Vanderwater. Okay? I am the guy that's going to end up kicking Antonio Delgado out of New York 19. I grew up here. The only reason why I left here is to either go to college, law school, or the military. I am a New York 19 guy. I have been my whole life, and I brought my family back here, and I didn't have to do that, but I did that for family, and I did it because I love New York. I did it because I love the Catskill Mountains. I love this area. I don't agree with the politicians in this area. I don't agree with the Democrats in this area, but I'm the guy that's going to bring common sense back to this district. And for all the people that are out of work right now in New York 19, I'm with you. God bless you. And I promise that I will do everything I can to bring the economy back to where it is. I'm a Second Amendment guy. I'm a Trump guy, so you got to deal with that. If you don't like Trump, don't vote for me. But I can also talk to people that are in the middle. And I can talk to Democrats. Socialist Democrats, I'm going to beat you up all day long. And I just can't wait to have the debate. It's going to be so much fun because you can't win. Your policies and your arguments are illogical, and I'm just going to hit you on every single one of them. For Democrats, you can vote for me in the general election when I go against Antonio Delgado. You can vote for me because my collar is blue, and I understand what the working man and woman is going through, and I understand some of the things that everybody's going through right now with this pandemic. And if this pandemic and the riots haven't shown you enough about what it means to be under a tyranny, well, now you know. So vote for me, and we're just going to fix things, and we're going to do common sense solutions. And I want to thank everybody in this room. I know we're all supposed to be doing less than 10, which we did, and social distancing, and thank you very much. God bless Dutchess County, thank you for having me. God bless New York 19, and God bless the United States of America. I'm here for you.
So with this, we're going to conclude this meeting, and I want to thank Kyle for attending. I want to thank all the people in the room for attending, the group, the great questions that you guys asked. I think we covered a lot of material. I feel sorry that Ola couldn't attend.
Well, let me address that real quick, because I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't beat up on my opponents, but one thing that is being said by surrogates is that this was some kind of a stunt. This was no stunt. I love debates. And it was offered to my opponent to have a different time, different place, different location. So, I got you there.
Well, the offer is still there. I mean,
Yeah.
we have until June 23rd. We would love to have a debate between you two before June 23rd.
Yep.
So, like I was saying, unfortunately, Ola wasn't able to attend. If in case there is another opportunity, reach out to us. We'll try to make this possible. I mean, this is a wide territory to cover. I think the media is important, so this will be videoed and it's going to go on different channels. And so, God bless our members that are doing this for the community. And good luck, Kyle, on your
Thank you.
primary.
Thank you,
And
sir.
thank you for being
Thank
with
you,
us.
sir. Thank you.